Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Camelia here with another sewing pattern review. Thank you so much for being here back on my channel. I just want to say welcome to all the new subscribers that I got this last few days. I noticed that one of my older videos, like 2 years old, about putting clear elastic in your shoulder seams is doing really crazy well these days. I don't know why. It's a great video. It's the video that you need to see if you want to see how you can work with clear elastic, but that video is getting a lot of views, so thank you very much, and I think there are a lot of subscribers coming from that video too. So if you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really love to have you here, and also I always love reading your comments. So in this video I am going to talk about the Pippa dress, and I'm wearing one, and this is another one, but because I'm sitting, I'm going to put pictures here so you can see it better how it's on me. So I'm wearing today one. Going to put this off. This is made in a challis from Minerva. I made it the day that arrived. I washed it, put it in the dryer, and then made it in the same evening, only it did sit a few days on my mannequin because the skirt needs to hang a little bit, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And I also want to make a video about my latest knitting projects. This one is one of them. I'm really proud of this one, and very soon, maybe tomorrow, I'll have time to make the video on it. It's a really soft one. I love it. The pattern is a totally new designer for me, so it was kind of exciting to make it. But anyway, it's great for the temperature that I have here. Back to the Pippa dress. So the Pippa dress is the January PDF release from Sew Over It. Is as a pattern insider, me and also other people that are in the pattern insiders pool, we get the pattern a few weeks before the release date in order to make it and to show it to the public on the release date, you know, in different fabrics and different bodies, of course. So I made two of them. This one is a rayon from Dressenstoffen, and this one, as I said, is one of the Minerva exclusive challis. It's a really gorgeous fabric. About the Pippa dress. The Pippa dress is a pattern made for woven, and I think it works the best in a drapey fabric like a rayon fabric. And it's a faux wrap here in the front. It has darts. I'm going to try to pull this one a little bit down. I hope I don't break it. It's already almost broken. I'm going to lay it like this. So it has bust darts. It has 2 darts in the back, and as I said, it's wrapping, but it's stitched in the waist, and the skirt has no darts, it's clean, but you do have a slit in the front. You see it in the pictures. And the back, let me see, the back is plain, only you have, of course, a side zip here. In order to come in your dress, you really need to have a zipper in this one. There are 3 lengths. For the skirt is a mini version, a short version, a midi dress, and a maxi. I made mine, and I'm going to come a little bit like this because I'm going to put the pictures here. I made mine in a little bit between the midi and the maxi, and actually I measured on another dress that I really liked the length of it, and I decided that in this one I needed 10 centimeters added to the midi length. Size wise, and also there are 2 sleeves. You get 2 pattern sleeves. This one is I don't know, a 3/4 length sleeve, and there is also a short line for a shorter sleeve, and a long sleeve, which is here, and the one that, of course, the one that I have on with the elastic here in the at the hem. So a lot of options for the dress. Size-wise, I'm making a mess with my microphone. Size-wise, I made my usual size 12 from Sew Over It with, and to be honest, I started with a straight size 12 because I was not sure how I'm going to fit. I am a size 12 in their patterns actually, based on the size chart, but I'm a little bit small here in the waist, so I'm usually getting back at the waist and then the hips all the way down to a 10. So after I didn't make 12 for this, but after I put together the bodice and the skirt, I stay stitched my armholes. Never try a garment that needs to get sleeves without the sleeves in and without stay stitching, because your armholes are going to be a mess. So I always stay stitch my armholes if I want to try something. And to be honest, the only moments that I want to try something that needs to get sleeves and I try it on without the sleeves is only if I need to check the waist, because for the bust you always need to have the sleeves in. If you are trying to get the fit on a garment that needs to get sleeves, you need to put the sleeves in order to assess the fit of the bust. But for this one I really wanted to see what the fit was on the waist and the hips, so I stay stitched my armholes and I put it on. And at that moment I decided that I do need to get back to a size 10 at the waist and the hips. And also I realized that the bust dart, the point of the bust dart, was a little bit too low on me. So to put it in one, the changes that I made for the pattern for my body and my size were to put the point of the bust dart 1 centimeter higher, and I just used the legs from the original dart. I wanted to say that many people, maybe they don't think that, I mean, when you have a bust dart that is not pointing to your bust, so it is either too low or too high, it's not only that it's not looking nice, it's looking wrong, but the fact is that means that the volume that dart is creating, you know, is not on the right point. So if you have it here somewhere, here you have the volume for your bust and not where you need to have it, or where I need to have it. So I raised only the point of the dart and used the original legs. The best is to do this in a toile, because if you are making this change, you always adjust also here at the side seam the volume, or when you are truing the dart. But this pattern has 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, and my change was really not so much, so I had enough space here to make it in the dressed finished. In this one it was already changed, so there was not a problem. This was my second Pippa dress. So the bust dart, then I measured and I knew that I will have, and this is a typical change for me, to make a narrow shoulder adjustment. And to be honest, I just kind of cheated this time and I did not make that slash and bring it in method, so I just took it off from here 1 centimeter. But after I tried the first dress on, before I put the sleeves in, I realized that actually the shoulder seam was still a little bit too long on me. So in total I took almost 2 centimeters from the shoulder. Of course I did that on the front and the back. So another change that I made, but actually it's not a change, it's more like a preference. I brought the seam allowance of the armholes, of course front and back to 1 centimeter from the original 1.5, and of course I also adjusted the sleeve cap seam allowance, because I find that a 1 centimeter seam allowance on a sleeve armhole is enough. You don't need more, because having 1.5 centimeter is always more difficult to ease in. And to be honest, I'm just with 1 centimeter seam allowance, also because it's not a lot of ease. It was really easy to put my sleeves in directly with the sewing machine, and I'm always sewing with the sleeve part against the bed of the machine, and that of course the feed dogs are helping to ease that extra from the sleeve cap into my armhole. Also, because I'm using a puff machine and I have that IDT, I disengage that because I really want that the fabrics are a little bit at different speed moving, let's say. And with the IDT from my machine, I have that exactly for the opposite result, to have everything fitting in the same time. So the seam allowance on the sleeve and on the armhole, for the armhole sleeve junction, it was brought to 1 centimeter. It's something that I always do. And for the rest I had completely no other changes. Actually, this is a really easy pattern to make, very fast. Maybe some people could be intimidated a little bit about the invisible zipper, but so over it they have a lot of tutorials on their stitch school about this kind of tricky bits. And I do have here on my channel also a tutorial, and I'm thinking maybe to make another one a little bit more clear with a little bit lighter fabric. I'm going to put a link to that tutorial, but it's in a black fabric. I don't know if it's very good visible, but the method that I'm using is always successful. Put the first part of your invisible zipper, baste it, sew it in with a normal sewing, with your normal zipper foot, and then come back with the invisible zipper foot or with your zipper foot, but then really close to the teeth of the zipper, and then repeat for the other side. I always use that, and I must say that I'm always happy. And in this one I have a brown zipper, but you really cannot see anything, of course, only the pull here up, and in this one I have a light green one, but because it's really well inserted you cannot see it. Some tips about sewing the Pippa dress. Very important step, because this piece here is really on the bias. You should stay stitch. The first thing that you need to do if you make this, stay stitch your neckline. And I did not stay stitch my back neckline, but I was very careful when handling that piece. But the front neckline, you really need, actually you need to stitch both the front and the back neckline. And I think this is the first step that can go wrong with a dress like this, because this front seam, front edge is so on the bias, it can stretch really easily in combination with a soft fabric like a rayon. And my tip is on this: don't put your stitch length too high. I just use the normal 2.5 that I use normally, so don't put your stitch length higher, and also check your tension that is not too tight, that you'll not get puckers, because you sew only on one layer of fabric. And my best tip is, and it's something that I use always, I used on this one and on that one, use some toilet paper, the thinner the better, to as a stabilizer under your piece of fabric. And actually I had my piece of the bodice cutted and placed on the pattern, and I just slide a little bit of toilet paper under, pin the toilet paper only to my bodice, and bring that to the machine and stitch it. The toilet paper is going to rip really easy off, so even easier than the normal tissue paper. The toilet paper is going to be your best friend. So the toilet paper I used as a stabilizer to stay stitch, and there is another benefit of using that paper. The benefit is that your fabric is really not going to pucker. If you try to stay stitch one layer of this fabric of a rayon, so that is really thin, you see that you have the chance that your fabric is going to pucker. If you do, even if you put your thread tension lower and you don't put your stitch length too high, you still have the risk that it's going to get pucker. But if you put some paper underneath and you sew that, you see that it's really easy sewing. So that's my tip for stay stitching your neckline. for the hem of the dress, again, if you make this dress, and I had this one for 3 days I think on my mannequin, and I really had to take quite a bit of the hem, because the sides are going to hang a little bit. Those ones are more on the bias, and you really need to level your hem. And for hemming the dress, because this is something that I really hate to do, I use always a really fast and dirty method. I'm running the skirt first through my serger, so I get that perfect 6 millimeter width of the stitch of the serger, and I'm just pressing that one time, and then I'm turning, and then turning again, and I have a perfect 6 millimeter width hem. So that's what I'm using for hemming rayon dresses like this, that are very soft and they tend to get out of shape. Something that I did a mistake here on my dress, and this is something that I always mess up. Of course, on this sleeve I have my elastic a little bit too tight, and I'll have to take it out to make it a little bit wider. I do have a little bit of extra here inside, but I need to take out the stitch and make it a little bit wider. This one is perfect, but this one is too tight, and I never get it right. I always need to mess up with at least one. The original pattern has also some buttons here in the front. Let me see, 4 here on the bodice, and then 4 going down on the skirt. I could not decide what for buttons to use for this one and also for this one, because they are so busy you see no buttons. So in my head I had a brilliant idea to use something else. Also because, to be honest, I really hate sewing buttons, and I did not have anything that I liked. So I used this stuff. You know, probably this is there is everywhere on AliExpress and on Amazon. You can buy this. You know, you can add all kind of pearls and stones and stuff like that. So I was thinking, well, I'm going to put some nice stones here on my dress, and actually that worked really nicely. The problem was that for the first one that I shot it in, it's because even if I used my seam here, but still this is a really it's a thin fabric, you know. So when I pressed with my machine, it has like a prawn from metal, that went through the first layer of my dress. So the next ones I used a little bit of some organza in a few layers, and I used that as a backing of every stone that I used here. I did only 8 or something like that. But because again, and I'm telling you all this because if you are going to make this dress, you have all the things that you must not do, you know, learning from my mistakes. Because I was really in a hurry and lazy, and it was cold. I didn't want to put the dress again on to see exactly where I need to have these things. So, you know, I put it one here and one there, and then I realized, well, I think I need to put one all the way up somewhere here. So I shot it in, and everything was done. So now I was thinking I'm going to put it on to see how it fits. Oh, not how it fits because I knew that it was going to fit, but how it's looking with those things. But because I did not measure, I went really too high here, so I could not put my head through the thing. So I had to do my best to take one of those things out in order to make the dress wide again, to put it over my head. And to be sure that I'll have those problems not anymore, in this one I did no buttons whatsoever, because again it's a really busy print and it's really impossible to see anything. So I just used a really cute brush, and this is what I'm going to use to keep the dress a little bit closed, because otherwise it does get too wide or too open. I'm going to show it to you how it's looking without anything. I do have a camisole. Well, this is what you are going to get exposed. It's not really a big deal, but you know, to have something to keep it closed, and even better, put the buttons if you have nice buttons to put on your dress. So yeah, those were my mistakes on the dress, but as usual, when you are sewing, you need to find solutions to your problems, and I never think about these mistakes as problems, but I think as you know, experience and stuff that you are doing wrong, and next time you remember, and hopefully you learn from those mistakes and be more successful. I have this brush is from Rachel from Catwalk Buttons. I have a bunch of them, really gorgeous ones. You can find her on Facebook. I'm going to put a link to her Facebook group. She's making some really nice buttons and brushes and stuff like that. Really cute ones. But anyway, so I think this is everything that I wanted to cover about the Pippa dress. You see, this elastic is really too tight. I used my rotary cutter to cut this, and one more thing about the, you see this one is going to live his own life here. One more thing about the neckline was that the neckline is getting binded with a strip of fabric cut on the bias. I'm just going to pop this one back, because otherwise I'm going to get dressed here probably. So the neckline is getting finished with a piece of bias, with a strip of bias, and the thing is that you need to be careful when you are cutting this. It's 4 centimeters. When you are pressing it double, that you don't stretch, because otherwise you are going to get maybe a 3 centimeter wide thing. So to be sure that, because that's again something that I know that I'm doing most of the time, without thinking, I'm stretching it a little bit. I'm always cutting maybe a half centimeter, a half centimeter wider my binding, so I know that while I'm ironing it, pressing it, I know that even if it's going to stretch a little bit, it's not going to get too narrow, because then it's quite difficult to, you know, to work with it here on the neckline, because it's getting turned and then top stitched from the outside. So I think this is it, all I had to say about the Pippa dress. I cannot see how much I was talking here, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you got some useful information out of it. Next video, I'm pretty sure I'm going to post something about my knitting experience at the moment, what I'm knitting, and knitting needles that I'm using, which I love them. And yeah, you'll see next what is going to come on the channel. If you are a subscriber, and if you are not, put your notifications on and you'll get a message. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye.